Welcome to the Play4Peace podcast, where conversations bridge divides and build unity. Here we create a safe space to learn from diverse perspectives, no matter your political stance. Together, we'll explore common ground, foster understanding, and strengthen connections between communities and law enforcement. Let's stand together for peace, progress, and purpose. We are all on the same team.
What's happening?
How you doing, man?
Good, brother. How are you?
Man, I was so happy when my wife said we landed Maurice Philogene on this call.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means a lot, man. I'm hearing you're a big baller, shot caller, man.
Oh man, I'm just a dad who just. The reason I'm running a few minutes late is because I moved into a new house a few months ago. My son is overwhelmed by the fact that there are neighborhood kids. You know how when we grew up, we had neighborhood kids and shit? He's not used to it. So it's like 3 kids came to the door just looking for him. He's like, I don't want to go. What do you mean I want to go? Well, I was going to play video games. I was like, get out.
Yeah.
Get out the house. So, but good to see you guys.
Good to see you, sweetheart. I think you're on mute or something because I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can.
Okay. Yeah, I think my laptop's going to be on its last leg soon. It's good to meet you. I did a lot of research, and I'm probably the one who's most responsible for our blog content. And I'm like, we need to talk to him because I could have like 20 interviews with you because every week we do a new topic on our blog. And I'm like, wow, police officer, plus he does this.
Yeah.
From the area.
I'm happy to talk.
Yeah.
So listen, Maurice, doing our research, you and I have a lot of synergy.
Okay.
When it comes from coming from Mattapan.
Oh, damn.
I'm a long lifer.
Yeah. My man. Yeah, it's been
I'm
years.
a long lifer.
Yeah.
My dad was a big community guy. He passed away a few years ago, but he founded the Mattapan Patriots.
Okay. All right.
The organization. And I grew up through that Pop Warner.
Yeah.
I'm a Metco student. So I bust out to Lincoln Sudbury.
Okay.
My son went to Thayer Academy.
Who was your son?
Jamari Venter. He played football there. He was a big time player there for 2 years. He ended up going to Merrimack and played 4 years of football there. He's
for real?
Jamari Venter.
Wow, yes. Bro, you're bringing back. I left Boston in 97, and University of Virginia, and then of course I'll go back. But my parents just last year I moved them down to Florida, so my connection with it is kind of broken now. But things like Mattapan, Metco, I Metco'd out to Newton in first grade.
North or south?
Oh man, what was the name of that school?
Oh, so you didn't make it to the high school?
No, I didn't make it to high school because I ended up.
You went to Thayer.
Yeah, I went to Thayer, but you know what? I got in a fight in Mattapan. I got on a fight on the Metco bus coming back from Newton one day when I was like 6 or 7, and that was it for my mom. She was like, "We're out." She didn't accept it. She was like, "Nope, you're not going down this road." It wasn't Mattapan, it was me. I was starting to go down a different road, and she moved me and my brother out to Stoughton for a year, and then we ended up in Randolph for life, and it was a good move. But I miss Boston. But it's such.
What street in Mattapan did you live on?
Brockton Street, off of Cummings Highway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you're saying terms I haven't heard in decades.
That's right around the corner. So I lived on top of Elmore Park, what they used to call Elmore Park.
Yeah.
So I lived on the dead end street, Culver Street, right off of Blue Hill Ave. Damn. If you remember Simcoe's, the hot dog stand.
It just closed, I think. Somebody told me it
just closed.
Yeah.
Wow. So I was 2 minutes away from there. So we're kind of connected, man. Boston's small. I'm a little bit older than you. I'm not
you look great. Whatever that means, but you look great.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of synergy there. Sweetheart, for some reason your mic is still not. There's something going on. You might need to, because I know you're trying to talk.
No, I didn't try to talk.
Okay. All right. Now it's
the area, so I don't have a whole lot to input about Mad. I'm a Philly girl.
Well, she's a Philly girl. I've been dying to catch up with you, Maurice, because of where we both come from. So this is great. Just to, I mean, for this meeting, we would love to introduce ourselves to you, our organization, and who knows where this can go. But I think it's important that you know about us, and we're doing some great things, and there's so much connection between you and what we do. Yeah. So I just feel as though it's some great synergy here. Katie, if you would like to introduce yourself and just tell Maurice about you a little bit.
Okay. Well, good morning, Maurice. My name is Katie Venter. I joined the Play4Peace organization a few years ago, and I've mostly been involved as a volunteer. I'm still a volunteer with the organization. I am a public school teacher, but I'm also, you and I have a STEM background. So I was a chemist for a long time in industry, teaching chemistry in the high school. So education is my first priority, my first love.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. I have a PhD in educational research.
Nice.
One of the things that I'm highly focused on is how do students learn and how do they make sense of the information that they learn? Those are big research questions when I look at a study, which brings us to, I got hugely involved with the Play4Peace more recently. And I think you brought up the Wealth Building Project was running this program to help kind of educate student athletes. But when I got involved too, we needed lesson plans and a trajectory, and we need to know what the outcomes are, etc. So it got a little bit more refined, and it then morphed into what we call the Experiential Learning Lab, which is not currently running at this moment, but it kind of built into something even bigger. What came out of all of our interactions with student athletes, and in many ways, they are representative of our general public school education system, is they don't have a solid financial literacy background. Yeah. And my own students, I can't tell you how many students I have. They're graduating seniors, and they've got credit card, student loan. They need to take out tens of thousands of dollars of student loans, but they don't know what their major is. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, of course.
Really scary when we think about the fact that we task our 17 and 18-year-olds to make these decisions, and we haven't properly trained them, but these decisions can follow them for decades.
Of course.
We started to mull it over with the team, and what we really need is a financial literacy education package that's teachers can just kind of plug and play. Here in Massachusetts, financial literacy falls under the social science standards. That are teaching World War I info, they're also tasked with hitting the standards on financial literacy. That was kind of like an afterthought. Governor Baker put, forced DESE, which is Department of Elementary Secondary Ed up here in Boston, to have financial literacy standards in 2019. Then the pandemic hit. So now it's just getting up and running, but the teachers are fully prepared to do this, nor do they have time to do this. So we're doing it for them. And that's one of our big goals. In addition to running the blog, writing curriculum, and, working with programmers to make a program that allows the process of, let's say, purchasing a car. So the first time they do it won't be the first time. They're going to actually go through the process in the nice, safe environment of a classroom and make decisions regarding budget, financing, lease terms, loan terms, etc. So I think exercise for our students. I can imagine, students making these huge decisions that they are not prepared for, but what if now they were? And what would that look like for individuals, but for a whole community? They're better these big decisions. So my big goal, but I also run the blog because I do a lot of writing.
Well, I'm grateful for what you do. Where are you a teacher?
Well, I am taking the year off.
Okay.
Do this. I was a teacher I was a teacher in Salem Public Schools. I was a teacher
Okay.
in Reading, and most recently in Gloucester.
Nice. My dad was 35 years Boston Public Schools.
Mhm.
And my mama was 22 years Brockton Public School.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So I appreciate you because I know what they went through.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Maurice,
Yep.
my wife is modest, and she is having a hard time to accept her new role. She is not. She's not work, and she does not plan to go back to teaching, but she does have the teaching connection because
Gotcha.
because she's a professor still at Salem State. I guess she forgot to
Ah,
that.
I got you.
So
Got you.
she still will be able to be connected to the love. But what we are doing is such a big project, and God help me if she tries to go back to teaching in the public school system, because we
Yeah.
don't have time. Developing this curriculum is a big deal, and
Yeah.
we'll explain it more to you.
Yeah.
What
I
I did forget. Go
fine
ahead, sweetheart. Before I say so, go ahead.
with it. I'll always have a foot in a classroom somewhere.
Mhm.
Just a piece of me that just kind of coexists with this research side. You know,
Mhm.
I have the PhD, blah, 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 but I'll always be a teacher. Always. So
Once
I,
a teacher, always a teacher for sure.
any,
Sweetheart, while I introduce myself to Maurice, can you pull up the visuals so we kind of can show him and go by that? Um,
I'm interviewing for my blog. That's top priority.
so you're going to interview him now instead of you want to interview him now? How
Yeah.
much time do you have, Maurice?
I was just looking at my calendar. I have till 11.
Okay. So real quickly, just want to give you the background of the Play4Peace Initiative and where we
Okay.
came from.
Mhm.
Again, more synergy. The George Floyd issue. This was created through George Floyd, from George Floyd.
Mm.
And it's the Play4Peace Initiative is a social justice nonprofit organization.
Mhm.
And you know, the four pillars: play, peace, prosperity, and progress. And one of the main focuses that we have is opioid awareness, financial literacy, and also bridging the gap between urban communities, suburban communities, and law enforcement. And so it started. So there was two phases. We started from right after the George Floyd incident. My connection with Metco, I never left it. I developed brothers and sisters with white families, white friends, and they contacted me. And after that incident, they wanted to do something. So we came up, just real quickly, we came up with this idea of developing, using sports, because sports is always the great vehicle to unite. We developed a 3-on-3 basketball tournament,
Mm.
and we started it and we started running it at Elmont Park. And my vision was to be able to bring, because in Metco, white families never came into the city. The Black
No.
families had host parents. We stayed outside the city.
Right.
So my vision was to bring these suburban families into the city. And so by doing that, we had our families from suburban area come into Elmont Park, and along with the law enforcement and developing a partnership with the Boston Police, one of our main founders, Jimmy Chin, who's a superintendent, we started running games where we had the police officers playing with the kids instead of against the kids, and that was a little meaning. So every team, we have a police officer on that
On a
3-on-3
team.
team. So
Okay.
they're playing with each other. And that really developed the camaraderie. And the whole thing is to bridge those gaps, get for both sides to be familiar with each other. We grew that from the George Floyd incident all the way up, and it's just grew ever since, and it's taken off. And that was, I believe, that was phase one. Phase two was to now include our financial literacy piece. John Very, who you met before and spoken to, and he started the Wealth Building Project. He is actually from Sudbury, Mass, as well. I'm really close friends with his sister. We connected because there was synergy there. The Wealth Building Project, he was developing as a, he was just lost with it. He didn't know where to go. And it was more of an entertainment company, which it still is. But we decided to say, hey, listen, I'll take on because the synergy there. The Play4Peace Initiative will take on the nonprofit side and turn the Wealth Building Project into a nonprofit and bring it under the umbrella of the Play4Peace Initiative. And that will be called our financial literacy. Gotcha. And so that is the connection that you asked for.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yep. That makes sense, right? And so from there, my wife was just talking about the ELL program. So for a year, John, myself, and another organization called Glory to Glory Sports Agency, who worked with NIL students. John made a donation to give these kids an NIL deal, and their purpose was to promote what we are doing and then join and then learn in our workshops, and that we were teaching them with financial literacy through real estate, using real estate as the platform. Okay. And we did that for a year, where these students were in these workshops once a month. And then the culmination of what they did came to our community empowerment weekend that we do, and we connected it with the police, with the 3-on-3 basketball tournament. And so that weekend, we included the 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and then we did a walkthrough with the kids on Friday, where they came in and they walked through owned buildings by 333 properties, where John Very owns that company. And they did a tour, looking at the buildings and talked about investment and what they learned, during the workshops. And then on Sunday, we did a town hall event, which was amazing. I don't know if you heard of Chris Collins. He was the moderator. But he was the moderator, and he moderated the town hall, where we had guest appearances. We have the athletes, and then we had different former student athletes, from speaking on that at that town hall. And then we included the youth, the student athletes from the community, to jump in and listen to the town hall. And it was just an amazing event. Excellent. And so I hope I put this all together for you.
Yeah, I got it.
In a nice, a couple of minutes type of thing. And so, so you can be too confused.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Now we're on phase 2, and we're now an all year round program. We've developed programs that are going to be running through the year. It's going to be focused on financial literacy, and also doing the same basketball tournaments with our law enforcements. And our goal is to be a national program, and we're starting to expand our next programming. We're on the Martha's Vineyard, doing opioid awareness, and then from there, we're doing a program, our first financial literacy combination program in New Bedford. Where we'll be working with the youth there, as well as running a financial literacy program where Katie will explain to you. And we'll be running that throughout the year. We're also developing a pilot program for the Boston Public Schools. That's going to be starting in October. So we got our feet starting to, we're starting to build, and people are really starting to notice what we're doing. And we have such a great team of people putting together this financial literacy curriculum. And so now we're in the door with the Boston Public School systems, and our goals are to be a national program, and introduce this financial literacy curriculum to all the school systems in the country.
Fantastic.
So that's where we are. And I talk too much. Katie, please jump in and take over, because I feel as though I ran my mouth too much.
It was good understanding, though.
Have you worked with the Wealth Building Project before?
No. I just learned about it through John. I met him a year ago, and we just kind of stayed in touch. And
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, John's very, very enthusiastic about the Wealth Building Project.
Yeah.
used to lean into like more of the podcast and event stuff, whereas those of us who are also kind of affiliated, and Play4Peace is very strict nonprofit. We are here to support our communities by providing access. So the Wealth Building Project gives us a lot of like footage and material that we're incorporating into our curriculum. And maybe if you're still interested in working with us, maybe when we get to the investment and asset management part of our curriculum, maybe we could pick your brain and use some
whatever you'd like. My journey pretty much hits in every single area that you guys are talking about.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
I grew up in Boston. I had the same issues. I'm self-taught, financial education wise. Ended up in real estate, earned my financial freedom, been all over the world. Became a street cop, not for the money, but because I just needed to do it in my life. Became a federal agent. I try to give back. Yeah, however I can help, I'm here.
synergy behind your backstory and what we're trying to do is like, and I'm like, at the very minimum, we got to interview him for the blog.
Okay.
Went into policing, it just fascinates me. I am fascinated with, you know, for you, it was not exactly a paycheck and what drove that decision.
Yeah, and just as a gee whiz for the end of it, what drove my decision to leave was because the policing environment changed because of George Floyd.
Okay.
If George Floyd had not happened, I probably would still be a police officer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So when I went to university, I had an ROTC scholarship. That's how I paid for school at University of Virginia. When I graduated, there were too many officers coming out nationwide in the U.S. Air Force, so they gave us the option of going Guard Reserve. I took it because active duty second lieutenants in 1997 were making $24,000. My company, Accenture, who I worked for 25 years, who was Anderson Consulting when I was hired, the starting salary was 42,000. Like there was no difficult decision. But fortunately, one of my instructors in ROTC was a gentleman by the name of Captain Winters, and I can't remember his first name. He was a security police officer, meaning military police officer. That led me down the path of becoming a security police officer, which ended up being something called security forces. But bottom line is, as a 21-year-old commissioned second lieutenant, I had responsibility for 90 Air National Guardsmen who in the civilian world were Baltimore City cops, Maryland State Police, Prince George's County Police, down here in Maryland, everything. I stayed there for 4 years. I got recruited into something called Air Force Office of Special Investigations, which is the FBI of the Air Force. When I got deployed post 9/11, I ran a field office in Washington, D.C. I did everything from fugitive retrievals to terrorism cases to drugs to opioid stuff to sexual assaults to pick something. I was doing it as a then 25-year-old special agent in charge of this field office. And when I got off of active duty, so that was 2002, early 2002, so I was post 9/11. When I got off active duty in late 2024, so I was on active duty for 2 years, I went back to corporate life, and it wasn't hitting for me. I mean, I was doing so many things to help people, to impact society, to represent country, and then I was a brother at the same time, right? So you know how it is growing up in Boston, man. We don't know that we can represent ourselves that way, and I really enjoyed it. So when I got back to corporate in late 2004, it didn't sit well with me, the idea of just making somebody money. So I started applying for every 3-letter agency you can think of: FBI, DEA, diplomatic security, CIA. Like I just wanted to serve. I was just really good at being a federal agent. But interestingly, when I did run that field office in DC, I did a joint search warrant with Montgomery County Police in Maryland, where I live. And the fellas and ladies who I interacted with doing that search warrant, I would ask them a lot of questions. I'm very inquisitive, especially at that time. And once I latch onto something that feels like a passion, I don't quit till I get it. So I ended up applying for Montgomery County Police, and that was in 2008 to 2006. I got hired in mid 2008. But the interesting thing was, so I was 33 years old at the time. I was getting ready to leave corporate, give up 80% of my salary to be a police officer. I had this wonderful boss by the name of Gail Nix, who I have seen recently. And Gail and I quietly crafted a way for me to stay an executive at the company and be a police officer at the same time, full time. So I did it all full time for 15 years, and it was my joy. I just wanted to be a part of my local community. I was a midnight patrol officer. I had the qualifications to be a captain, lieutenant, even chief of police of a small police department, but it's not what I wanted. What I wanted was the huddle. Remember when Lincoln Sudbury used to have them games, the Friday night games and stuff? And
Yep.
I wanted that, brother. I wanted to be part of a team again. I didn't want to go sit in another office and like tell people what to do. So I just remained a midnight patrol officer for 15 years, and man, every day, high-speed chases and burglaries and shop owners, and man, I just loved it. So that's how I became a police officer, just because I wanted to be part of something.
That's amazing, man. I have so many police officer friends, and when that George Floyd incident happened, I just felt like they were just getting a bad rap. And these are good dudes risking their life every single day. And people have to know that not all police officers are like that.
Yeah, and
I had a passion for that.
The George Floyd thing fires me up on two sides of the equation. One, the brother was murdered, period.
Right.
He was murdered, and he was murdered by a career field that I love and that I gave up a lot of sleep for. And what I hated about the whole thing was, first of all, he was murdered. A man was murdered. Not only a man, but somebody who looks like me and you.
Yes.
Then secondly, I had many times where for 36, 48 hours, for 24, 48, 72 hours, I didn't sleep because I was doing corporate by day, police officer by night. Now, I would never go to patrol at night if I was too tired, because I was responsible for the safety of my shift mates and things of that nature. So sometimes I would take leave and go to sleep and stuff like that. But in general, I would have sleepless nights because I wanted to patrol. But what happens when the George Floyd things happen, I'm not going to go into the merits of what happened to him, but what I am going to go into, unless we do, but what I do want to go into is what happened to police officers. 97% of us were just like, that's insane. That dude needs to go to jail, which the system worked. Now there's societal issues, socioeconomic issues, and most importantly, systemic issues with policing. But there are men and women who are good doing the right job. Now imagine this. Imagine if you're a woman, because I had two women shift mates in my heavy times. And my heavy times were 2017, 18, 19. We were the busiest shift in the busiest county in the DC area, and would get awards for it all the time. We were humping. And we would patrol till 6 a.m. in the morning. We might have gotten in fights, shootings, saved a kid, whatever. And then you get home after running that shift and you turn on the news at 6 a.m. and everyone's saying that you're a piece of shit. Over a long period of time, like, I have a good concept of self. I'm a very strong personality and things of that nature. But over a long period of time, which is why I don't watch the news anymore for 2 years, almost 3 years now, it wears on you. You start to lose your self-worth. Like, why am I out there having guns pointed at me or waiting in a lake to try and save someone or whatever if society doesn't want you as an individual? So that really took a toll on people. And the other thing that happened was leadership in police departments, because they didn't want to get in trouble because it's their livelihood, they started to not support the rank and file. So if leadership is not supporting you when you're doing the right thing, don't get me wrong, police officers did the wrong things too, right? But we are human, and we do try to do the right things in general. But if you're not being supported, then you're not going to go proactively patrol. I was one of the dudes who would be in the back neighborhoods at 3:30 in the morning, walking around looking for someone trying to break into somebody's house. That was me. after a while, I'm like, I'm not going to do that anymore for two reasons. One, leadership's not going to support you. And two, many of my shift mates don't want to proactively patrol anymore because they don't want to be on the news in the morning having did something wrong by accident, by nature of making a split-second decision or something. So I wasn't going to go patrol because if I went to go patrol, my shift mate would then have to back me up, and I was forcing them to come out of the station to then go patrol. It changed the dynamic of policing. This thing that I had given up my life for, given up my time for, given up my sleep for, I was now, instead of proactively being part of my community, I was sitting in the back lot of the station every night waiting and not responding unless it was a life critical situation. It sucked, brother. It sucked so bad that when 2021 came, in May of 2021, I went to my sergeant and I just looked at him and he's like, "Oh shit, you're done. I can see it." And I was like, "Sarge, I started this thing 15 years ago because I wanted to do good. We just sitting in the back lot now, man. This is not how I make my money. I don't sleep to then sleep in a police car to then maybe respond here and there." So it was just a very weird time. The brother was murdered. It changed the dynamic of policing. But I will also tell you, part of the victims in the whole thing were men and women who were doing right in the career. And a lot of us left because of it. And that's sad to me. I would still be there if not.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know my wife's the one that has the questions, but it's kind of emotional. I can see that you're emotional by this. My question to you is, what do you have any desire of making a change? And what would you do if you had an opportunity to change that situation? What would you do? You have any ideas?
No, I don't. My job is not to change the world. My job is to just change the world around me. So, I tell my kids, I have two boys, and my boys have three responsibilities. The first responsibility is to be happy. I want them to do things like, if you want to be a police officer, go be a police officer, because we have 28,000 days in the average 80-year lifetime. You have to do the things that make you happy. The second thing I tell them is you have to learn how to make money grow, and we'll talk about that later, obviously. And then the third thing I tell them is you have to be a good man. I don't need you to be great. I don't need you to be Martin Luther the King. I don't need you to be Malcolm. I don't need you to be Barack. I don't need you to be an actor. I don't need you to be president. I just need you to be good, which means be kind, which means find a platform to give back to people. And policing was was one of my platforms. And when it was taken away, I haven't thought about it in a long time. It was taken away. I still struggle with it. But could I make a change? I did for 15 years, and actually 25 through policing in the military. And I never got overly hurt. But when I got that ROTC scholarship to go to college, that was a 4-year commitment. When the 4-year commitment came up, I didn't go nowhere. I kept serving. In fact, when I left the military in October of 2019, I'll never forget, I was sitting in my car in Washington, D.C., 5 p.m. on October 19th, 2019, I started crying in my car. I wanted to serve. Same thing with policing. They took it. So I don't have a way to fix it. All I would do would tell you that you don't have to solve the whole issue. You just have to do right by the people in your world. And proof of me doing the right things for me is the fact that actually in 11 days will be my 3-year anniversary of retiring from the police department, and I still have shop owners that call me looking for help.
Wow.
I don't have a way to fix it, brother, but all I can tell you is if you have personal integrity with what you do and you do things the right way, you know that you're changing the world in the middle of the night. My job as a police officer was to allow people like you and your beautiful wife to sleep in ignorance and bliss. I did that. Well, I did it really well. So I miss it.
Just hearing what you just said, you know, when I thought about the Play4Peace Initiative, just this last year, when we spoke to the kids, we had a bunch of police officers, the police commissioner was there. For me, I think the biggest impact that touched me was to see how appreciative the police officers were.
Yeah.
They were very appreciative the way we acknowledged them. And that touched my heart.
Yeah.
Because you can see how much it meant to them. And just looking at their faces, I saw some of them a little teary-eyed and emotional. And it was just, it encourages us to, yes, we are making a difference.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to build this movement because that's what it is. I mean, we have a hashtag, we on the same team. And
yeah,
the big thing with Boston,
yeah,
they do things, they are connected to the community. But there's so many other cities that need our help
yeah.
to be able to go in and do this. And
I
so
mean,
we're using Boston as the really the jump off, the hub,
yeah.
the ambassadors to try to spread this movement forward.
So when he said we on the same team, you
Yeah.
said react, you had a thought. Do you mind me asking what that thought was?
Yeah. I can be very quick to protect the policing community, and I should, because I've held 4 badges in my life. Military police, 22 years. Federal agent, 22 years. Montgomery County Police, 15 years. And I was technically a DC police officer for like 6 months, but that's a weird one. But I'm also going to protect the citizenry too, because people's impression and dynamic with the police is based on their interactions with the industry. So if you get pulled over and let's say you have a less than empathetic police officer, man or woman, white or black, I don't give a shit, but less than empathetic police officer who treats you in a way that makes you feel less than, that's going to be your impression of police until you have a positive interaction. It's like when you and I go to the bank. Bank tellers who are grouchy and all that shit because they got to come to work that day. I don't want to go to the bank anymore. So I want to also protect citizenry, and like it's jarring for people to interact with the police, especially if they've had a negative interaction. But the emotion that you're sensing for me is on behalf of the people who were trying to make all the interactions positive. At the height of when I was doing policing, so let's say when I was age 40, that was the middle of it, I was worth north of $14 million. It's a lot more now.
Yeah.
When I left, I'll guess when I left, maybe I was worth like 16 million and something, I don't know. And my point is not to throw a number. My point is to show commitment. Like you want to have a platform to have impact for people. And now we're talking about the wealth building projects and financial stuff, the things that I do now to show people how to build financial freedom and how I did it and how I beat the rat race and all that. Like that's another platform for me. But you know, for your blog and for your understanding, when you are in a car in the middle of the night and you're responding like that, whether it's a good incident or a bad incident. By the way, I work nighttime, so usually incidents were not good. You weren't typically interacting with nice people in the middle of the night. We don't need to hear all the time how shitty we are, but that's part of the job. You accept it and you accept the goods and bads that come with it, but you guys can tell that I'm very it's not a resolved chapter for me because of how I left. And it was tied to George Floyd, and It's just tough. It's tough. But my time is up. My time is up. It was time for me to move out and give space for other people to come up and through and impact people to positive. And I still have a reputation. People still know me as that guy who would show up at work and all types of shit would happen, and I can still run by my station and people still know me and stuff. So it was a positive experience.
Mm-hmm. Nice, nice. I mean, I would like to leave, just to say this. You know, it's just simple. I've had some bad experiences with police.
Me too. Yeah.
But I feel as though in doing what we are doing, what if we start young? What if we start now? What if we bring these relationships closer and together? And then that one day when you're driving down the street, and a police officer stops you, that police officer, hey, I played with you 3 years ago on the team.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm just thinking of something that simple in what we do.
Yeah, it's good.
Now I know you a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we played together.
Yep. There's a lot of good initiatives like that, and I think touch points are great, but there will always be policing agencies where that's just not possible.
Right.
You cannot interact with state troopers all the time. State troopers cover 40 square miles. They're just not gonna. They don't have the intricacy and the intimacy that I would have as a local police officer and stuff like that. But again, I just go back to initially what I told you when you said, how do you think you could change it all, Maurice? And I said, I don't think I can change it all. I think I can impact the world around me. So, my charge to anyone who's doing a job is just impact the world around you. If you are positive with that person is going to take that positive interaction and immediately place it on the next person that they interact with. So I can't get mad at citizenry who've had shit bag reactions from police officers or from people who were picked on in high school and they get a badge and now they're taking it out on other people and stuff. It happens. It happens. We got to acknowledge it, state it, but the way we can change it, just take care of yourself. Take care of yourself and I challenged a lot of other police officers when I saw stuff I didn't like. And yeah, man, I'm grateful. I will not die having that regret. I'm so happy that I did that. So are my kids, but yeah, it was a good thing.
But we should a little bit about what our research is about this.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a data scientist, but I'm also the child of 2 police officers in Philadelphia. And there was
the child of 2 police officers?
My parents were police officers. My mother was, I think, female on the force.
Okay.
That whole side was all very military, Air Force, etc. Yeah, my uncle was on the bomb squad. And he was on the bomb squad. He wasn't on duty, but he was on the squad in the time of move. I don't know if you remember the move. The bomb was dropped in the middle of a city block in Philadelphia. So yes, Philadelphia is a highly polarized area to live. But I grew up with this like hyper consciousness of this polarization that exists. But I also grew up with police officers as parents. The way I process how I work, I had a lot of negative interaction with police officers too. And I also kind of knew from the other side some of the crazy crap they were engaged in. But I grew up in the inner city. I mean, I went to Temple University as a commuter student. I lived really close by. And it always cracks me out when people say, I'm in the hood and blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't know anything about Philadelphia. And I grew up in a row home in one of those neighborhoods. So one of the things that I really wanted to spend my efforts on, because absolutely I can volunteer at these events. I can sit there and pass out the water bottles to people. But one of the things that really captured my interest is how are the police officers and also our participants, which are, middle school, high school age students, make sense of this relationship? How do they understand? Because if you think about your average middle school, high schooler, they're getting information from lots of different sources. And when we talk about it in the context of policing, they hear, we have resource officers in the school, so they're exposed in school, but then, they hear messaging from their parents, positive or negative, from their neighborhood, from their friends. They get a lot from social media. And then they come and play basketball with us. So this is far more than just
I see. Yeah.
hold hands and sing Kumbaya on a Saturday in the summer.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
information to help understand not only how are our youth making sense of all this messaging, including our own messaging that we do, but how do the police officers also process that? How do they envision their relationship with these youths? And hopefully this gets funded very soon, because we put a lot of thought into this, and these like survey, this is one of our goals. But this is an ongoing research effort that we are taking on, because at the end of the day, what we do to matter. And it may not matter in, let's say, Washington. It may never matter in Philadelphia, my hometown. It may never matter in Los Angeles. But it will matter to the people in Dorchester. It will matter to those children who grow up and they may have positive or negative experiences. They'll probably have a mix of both. It will matter to the police officers, because it's so hard recruiting them and keeping them engaged and refreshed in their job. It will matter to them if we know what kept them engaged, if we know how to make them feel valued. We know that they know how to build these relationships with the kids, because they honestly do. They show up. They show up on game day and they're ready to play. And this is important to them. So how do we honor their intentions and keep them motivated? And then how do we understand how the youth is making sense of all this messaging? And that's what our research is really about. So if you click on the webpage, you're going to see our basketball tournaments. You're going to see happy kids. You're going to see the police officer playing with these participants. But in the 364 days beyond that, what is going on? And how do we understand what that one day did? And that's what we're hoping that we can start this up real soon. That's one of our goals.
Yeah, I mean, I knew what it was as soon as I saw it. It wasn't a basketball game to me when I saw the photos. I know what it is. It's a platform. It's a way of communicating. It's a way of breaking down barriers. It's a way of showing humility and humanity. Not everybody's gonna interpret it that way, though. We are who we are. We know what we know. We come from where we come from, and that's why I go back again. Like I think some people can try to change the world. I think it's too much to ask of people. We have a finite amount of time on this blue marble. What you can do is just, exactly what you're doing, which you guys have. Play4Peace has a certain corner of the globe right now, or a certain corner of the city right now. Infect the shit out of the people in that corner by doing the right thing. And then let those people hopefully go out with what you've done and do positivity out in the world. Once I have put good out into the world, I don't I gotta go follow up and measure it. I don't feel like that at all. I leave that to God. I leave that to the source. I leave that to the universe. You just can be good people. You can create a wonderful program the way that you guys are doing and allow goodness to spread. Unfortunately, the news doesn't want to spread goodness because that shit doesn't get ratings. They want to spread anxiety. And as I said, they gave a lot of police officers and civilians anxiety from, well, today there was another murder, and today there was, well, shit, for every murder that gets reported on the news, do you know how many positive incidents of we helped someone get into their locked home, or freed someone from a car on fire, or this is not virtue signaling, but I want to tell you something. I cannot count how many people, homeless in specific, but how many people I bought dinner for I have no idea. $10,000, $15,000 in my life? I don't know. But I don't need it to be reported on. Neither do other men and women and other programs such as yours that are doing the right things. Nah, you just do the right things and you go about your life, you affect your world, and you keep it moving. I fundamentally believe that now, because I've impacted a lot of people, I think, positively. I feel good about it, and I move on. I'm grateful for what you guys are doing.
Amazing. I did not when I got on this call with you all, I did not think this would impact me the way it just did. I think the conversation that we had today was very powerful.
Yeah.
And it motivates me even more to continue to do what we're doing. It's just crazy how things like just randomly happen, and that's just God speaking.
Yeah, he's not random.
You know, like whoever thought? I mean, you look at our backgrounds,
Yeah.
you look at our mission. Like, what made you take this call? You know, like you don't know us at all, but the synergy is amazing. I'm just talking about my son going to their academy with you.
Yeah, that's great.
Like we came from Mattapan.
Yeah.
You know, the police force connection. Like I didn't know how deep you were in that.
Oh man.
To hear you and to see and to get that perspective, it's just I thank God for this conversation, and I thank you for your time, and I would love to continue what we're doing in some way and somehow because you know we need you. You know, I just heard a perspective that I never heard before, and I think you can. You know, I would love to for you to be able to use our platform to tell your story. And I think more people need to hear this. More people need to hear this conversation. So wherever this goes, I would love for us to stay connected to you somehow, some way.
Yeah, man. By the way, I sent a couple of messages while we were talking. So if you want to continue on the other aspects for your blog, we can. So I have till 11:30 now. But yeah, however, it's however I can help, man. I'm just honestly a man of service now, and as I have always been. And you just never know where these things will go and who will listen to it. I think the power that we have, especially with John and the Wealth Project kind of connecting us, is, you know, we're like Boston through and through. Like I'm not even connected to be honest, I'm not totally connected to Boston as I used to be outside of I'm always watching the Celtics and the Patriots and
Obviously,
Red Sox. Like I'm
city
diehard.
champions.
Yeah, yeah. But we come from places like Roxbury, Mattapan. I remember running down Cummings Highway. I remember going to Simcoe's. I remember running up and down Blue Hills Avenue. I remember getting jumped at the Mattapan T station. After buying sneakers out of this sneaker store. People can relate to that. And then people can see where their lives can possibly go. Like I just turned 49 2 weeks ago. I still mentally I feel 23. So I think people can relate to where we are, and hopefully find some hope and some joy in it and stuff and use it to their advantage.
The division of Boston, you understand, like we don't even talk about the suburban part of it. Mattapan and Roxbury was divided.
Yeah.
You know, Mission Hill was a whole different,
Yeah, I remember Mission.
whole different world. You know, Hyde Park, South Boston. You know, black person going to South Boston. Be careful,
brother. And they should talk about the burbs a bit more, because what happened in the 80s and 90s, well, 80s for me, there was a migration from Mattapan, well, at least I felt it, into places like Stoughton, Randolph, Sharon, Canton.
Yes.
So it was Boston out there. It wasn't Boston, but it was Boston. You know what I'm saying? And then my father, who I was telling you was an educator, he taught at the Taylor. My daddy was the principal at the Taylor School in Dorchester. He was the vice principal at the John F. Kennedy Lewenberg School, I think is in Manhattan. And then
on Walk Hill Street.
On Walk Hill Street. Yeah, I'm gonna tell him you said it. And then here's the biggest dichotomy. My father was the principal at a school. I can't remember the name, but it was in Charleston. and Charleston.
Charlestown, Boston?
Charlestown.
It's Charlestown, yes. It's called Charlestown.
But back then, it was very white. It was anti-police because there was a lot of mafia and gang stuff going on there. So there would be killings and things of that nature, and nobody would tell the police anything. And my father, black Haitian immigrant, was the vice principal or principal, I can't remember, of this school, and he refused to leave it, even though he would get threats. And he's like, "Nah, I'm doing my job." These stories will never be told by, and nor should they. The way my dad is now is exactly the way that I'm telling you, is exactly the way you espouse back to me. That brother served 35 years. He's in Florida. We're about to go to south of France together because I'm trying to buy them a home and convince them to move to the south of France.
Nice.
Served a lot of kids, and he put a lot of good juju in this world, and it has spread. And you can rest in your life knowing that you have put good juju into the world and that it's spreading. That's how you change stuff. You ain't got to be on a bullhorn, and we can do a lot. People can do a lot. When people are like, "Man, I can't make change," I'm like, "Nah, you have no commitment. You have no commitment to self. You have commitment to your own goals, and that's cool, but we can make change." I believe that, but it can be
if I could be half the man my father was, I feel like I accomplished something.
Yeah.
Like he started the Mattapan Patriots.
Yeah.
People out my age in that generation, we all were in Mattapan. We all were connected. We all knew each other. You know what I mean? It was a sense of pride that my brother played for the Mattapan Patriots. That person, and I might not even see him, for 30 years, but when I see him, we played for the Mattapan Patriots. I remember getting my uniform from Mr. Venter's house, which was me, where they walked up from Elmont Park, and I, at 8 years old, my father would, for one of my chores, would have to put the helmets down. Now, I always got the best helmet.
Yep.
But I had to put all the helmets down for the teams. But there was a sense of pride. Everyone, parent, cheerleader, football player, was a member of those times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sense of camaraderie, neighborhood feel good, all of us coming together to play these sports. And that's what made me the person that I am today.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, you were blessed to be in his aura, which is what we need. He was doing the right things, and it infected you. And here you are doing the right things too.
I have one more question. Kate, I don't know if you have. I feel like I'm taking over the interview. I was supposed to just.
We'll do more too. We'll do more too.
Yeah.
Since we're on this thread.
Yeah. I think, you know what? I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for next time, because what I want to do is make the connection with the financial literacy piece, and how does financial literacy impact the crime, the police, the police impact, and the opiate. Like, how does financial literacy connect with everything that we are talking about?
So okay. So hold that. Okay, maintain that thread for our next conversation. But I want to wrap back to, because I did introduce my journey. I did talk about the police journey, and then I talked about the fact that I left, or I was trying to leave this corporate entity to go do good stuff in my local community here in the state of Maryland, right? Which is, it's my home, right?
Yes.
This is some of the deficiencies that our public school system and our formal education system has. And I'm going to express it to you right now. I think it'll be a good way to wrap today. I'm grateful. My hero is my 23-year-old self. I don't know what the brother was thinking. I don't know why he had such a drive to sit in the Fairfax County, Virginia library every Saturday in that business aisle and read business books and real estate books, but he did, because that was pre-heavy internet. financial literacy, as I started to pick it up by reading the book Personal Finance for Dummies when I was 21 for $3.27 in a New York City bookstore, which led me to that financial aisle in the library, which led me to buying my first piece of property in August of 2021, which was a place to live, which appreciated by 30 grand. So in 2001. So in 2002, I bought 10 more by reading a book. Now, you would think that I went on this real estate journey because that initial property that I bought in August of 2001, it appreciated $30,000 in a few months. And my father explained the concept of equity to me. He said, baby, you made $30,000. What do you mean I made $30,000? What is that? I went to the library. That's what you did back then. You went to the library, and I learned what equity was. And I also learned this concept of passive income, income that is devoid of your need to physically be somewhere to make it. What? You remember you asked me, or I said about traveling. I've been to 99 countries now, over 400 times. I don't know the count anymore. But my first time was when I was 15. It was Mattapan, me, or Randolph, me, traveling 30 days in France in an old Range Rover with this family, exchange student kid that stayed with me the previous year. By the way, he and I are still friends 35 years later. When I found it was, man, think about it. Inner city Haitian kid from Boston, French wine, French funeral, French girls, French castles, French feeling, French food, French. I was like, so you're telling me that the world is not Humboldt? You're telling me that the world is not Cummings Highway? You're telling me that the world is not just hot dogs at Simcoe's, but them hot dogs was really good.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
they were.
The financial literacy piece, this is how it really should behave. I'm going to get off society. I'm going to get onto the person. What financial literacy did for me was give me financial education. What financial education did for me was fill in the gaps on how I could create passive income. What passive income did for me is make me realize that I could have time, financial, and geographic freedom and not be beholden to an employer. I didn't say I didn't work. What I did was take those 2 paychecks that I earned systematically, actually 6 paychecks with my 3 jobs, but the paychecks that I earned over the years, I systematically invested those things into real estate and found myself in 2013, 14 with $13,000 of income coming in from real estate, which was above what I was making from my employer. So what that really did was empower me to do things like go be a police officer because I didn't need the money. What it did was empower me to decline promotions at my corporate firm because I didn't need the money. You see what I'm saying? What it did for me was not follow the status quo of 20 to 30 years of formal education telling me that to be successful, I had to be the CEO or make it to the NFL because I was financially empowered. And what was even better about it is nobody knew. I did it quietly, except for my parents and whatever girl I was dating and my kids. Nobody knew. So there I was, late 30s, financially free, but taking on all these roles, for example, in my corporate firm, declining promotions to get to partner, and people saying, what's wrong with you? You've been here 20 plus years and you're not a partner. No, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just not chasing your version of success, sir. I chase my own. So when you ask me about financial literacy, yes, there's the global aspect of it. Yes, there is the let's make some money aspect of it. Yes, there is the control your life aspect of it. But I really think about it from a life options perspective, not from a financial perspective. Because everything that I've done in life has been empowered by the fact that nobody can control me except my God and my Father. Not since I was in my mid-30s, and I'm 49 now. And I'm not talking millions. I'm talking my basic needs of $6,000 were covered, meaning mortgage, bills, ability to eat, ability to fill gas in my car by 2008. By 2014, I was making more than my company was paying me. I was always fine. That's the power. And we're talking about 6 grand a month, 8 grand a month, 13 grand a month. We're not talking Instagram, 40 million, 100 million, that dumb shit that they keep pushing out there. That's why your program or P4P and the Wealth Building Project and whatever you're going to do financial literacy wise is so important to debunk what people are saying is financial freedom. Financial freedom is not heavy, big numbers, et cetera, et cetera. Financial freedom is being able to cover your basic needs from passive or some kind of income stream. We should be telling, I'll help you with your program if you'd like me to, but we should be, instead of 20 or 30 years formal education telling me I got to be the CEO and compete with people, what it should have told me is go get your high school diploma and or your college degree. You don't need a college degree, but go get it. And then use that college degree to get a job, a good one. And then take those 2 paychecks and the salary that that college degree gave you and use that salary to create income streams. And use those income streams to then have a choice to stay at your company or to go do something different in the world. But no, what we keep being told is, nah, just blindly climb the ladder and you'll be good. No, use your career to create income streams. Use those income streams to go live as God intended us to live. We are not here to just exist. We are here to thrive. That, my friend, is financial literacy. It is not making money. It is about life options and taking control. That's what people miss. I figured that out on my own, and now you know why I'm so proud of 23-year-old me. I don't know how he figured it out, but he did.
Love it.
I love that. Yeah. Can I share something with you just
Yes. Yeah.
So I think when you're talking about this, this really brought up what we're trying to do. So we're stretching that definition. What is wealth? And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's about choices. It's about
Yeah.
freedom. But it's more importantly, it's about the goals that you set for you.
Yes.
How you get there and how you navigate it. It's just as important as the goal. And the way we're going to lay out a curriculum is starting with goals. And that goal is not necessarily a number in a bank account.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 35 or anything like that. It's about the impact that you make on yourself, on your family, on your community, and the things that you want in life. And sometimes for many people, that has nothing to do with money. Sometimes for some people, it has everything to do with money. But that is really unique and individual. And this, I think, makes us stand apart because that goal setting needs to be culturally relevant. It needs to be socioeconomically relevant. And it also needs to be very individual because even though you may have a pair of siblings in the classroom from the same family, they may have different goals in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about your drive to serve your community, that was a goal. And that's how you met the goal. You know, that filled a certain bucket of need for you. Of course, we need to cover financial literacy basics, the nuts and the bolts of how to get by in life. You know, just the fact that you threw out that I need $6,000 just to get by in life. That's the financial literacy basics. But then we start talking about investment strategies, which is where your 23-year-old self was talking about. And moving into asset management, because it's not enough to make those investments. You have to manage them. And there is no single formula for management. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here. You have to do it in a way that is meaningful to you and your goals and everything. Everything wraps around to those goals. And then we start talking about career preparation.
Yeah.
The last things that we end up talking about. We also talk about philanthropy and how that resonates with your particular values and goals in life, because philanthropy is a part of financial literacy. But this is essentially the roadmap to how we plan on presenting that, which I think what you were saying really like just jogged my memory. I just wanted to share this with you. I think that word wealth is so, some people are very single-minded when they think about like your health is wealth. You know,
Agree.
Your satisfaction or your ability to go to the South America, that's wealth. And it had nothing to do with the cost of the plane tickets.
Yeah, and what wealth comes, I mean, I was wealthy in my 20s because I realized that I needed to go have experiences while I was building all this stuff in the background. You know, I didn't wait till I was 46 to go travel the world and things of that nature. I started doing it by travel hacking and stuff. There's so many different forms of wealth, but again, I just want to I didn't state it in a comprehensive sentence, but I will do it now. I don't blame, just like I don't blame police officers, I don't blame the citizenry because they've had ways of interacting with the police that's been super negative. I also don't blame us. And I'll qualify that because my family, Haitian immigrant family, obviously my parents are educators and their financial blueprint was for me to go to school, get a good job, get a pension and be good and stuff like that. And that's fine. We do this thing, this 20, 30 years formal education. We are creative in kindergarten and first grade and second grade, and we're eating paint and throwing and eating glue and da, da, and then all of a sudden we start being compliant. Johnny, sit down, raise your hand. Da, da, da. That now all three of us got to compete with each other to be the prom king, the prom queen, getting the AP classes, who's going to Harvard versus who's going to community college. We're just rammed for 20 years about competition and climbing and that there's one right answer. Where there's many answers, there's many versions of life, there's many versions of success. And I just go back to the whole financial thing is not even about financial. It's to give you the ability and platform to live life. I call it plugged into life and planet as intended. The moment I had those basic needs covered, what I worried about more was living, not money. And that was from $6,000 a month, not 6 million a month. The other thing is with the philanthropy goals, I have to tell you, I'm still pushing. Like I'm still, I'm 2000, I don't know what I am now, 2,100 apartments or something like that. And I developed real estate in the country of Cyprus now. And it has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with philanthropy goals. Everything. I have enough. I live off 8 to 10 grand a month on a personal level. I still drive my '05 Infinity, which I got to get a new one now. She's really breaking apart. But I encourage people to please, please, please be selfish first. Get your financial literacy, get your passive income, get your business, get your whatever it is, get your solid job, get your virtual job, whatever it is, get yourself solid. And I'm glad that I was selfish, that 23-year-old me was selfish because what he did, he kept researching, buying, saving money, storing money, buying, saving money, storing money, buying assets, buying assets, buying assets, buying assets. So by the time I got to 38/41, I can give back in a way that's so meaningful. We're also taught not to take care of ourselves, that we must take care of everybody else first. And I disagree. You take care of yourself first, get yourself situated so you can take care of everybody else after the fact and then spread all that goodness that I keep talking about, right? Anyways, my views on this stuff is just based on my own journey. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but we are chasing other people's versions of success. It makes zero sense. And it is very difficult for a young man, a young woman to go against the herd is turning left, but your gut is telling you to go right. You know how hard that is? It's hard. It's super hard. Yeah. Financial literacy, necessary, not for money, but for life options. So you can make choices to then not only compound your money, but compound the time you are spending on non-money things, which is why I've lived 4 or 5 lifetimes in 49 years and my life book keeps getting bigger. And I like the way that I'm rolling with stuff. So I try and share it as much as possible.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you,
Maurice.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
Thank you for this, man. Looking forward to moving, expanding our relationship.
Yeah, man.
And if you don't mind, we would love to share, our journey with you and talk to you more.
Yeah.
I think Katie will definitely send you this recording over for you.
And it wherever you'd like to. I'll even publish it on my podcast at some point. Maybe I can get out in the next few weeks or whatever, but whatever you'd like to do.
That would be awesome. But let's we'll reach out to you and see where we can go for the future.
Of next steps, Maurice, I'd like to, in this week's we're a little bit busy because we have an event coming up, but
Sure.
I'd like to write this up. You gave me multiple blogs of material here.
Yeah.
I will, before we put it on our website, obviously, I'd like for you to read through it
No problem.
or make sure that I'm really representing your messaging.
Okay.
And then we can put it on our blog. But I don't like putting anything on our blog about people or, you know, events and such until, because you have personal ownership over that. So I want to make sure that I'm being accurate and representing the information that you shared with us in a
Sure. Be my pleasure.
Okay, so you will hear back from me, just not right away.
Okay. I know you're out there somewhere, but I appreciate it, and thank you for letting me kind of get on my soapbox a little bit. And I'm passionate about this stuff, and I didn't even, Jeffrey, I didn't, like, you were talking about the policing stuff, actually both of you were, and emotions were coming up in the background. I'm like, damn, these are unresolved. Unresolved. It's just stuff that I care about a lot. I care about people having control of their lives, and it's nice to talk about this stuff sometimes. You go on these journeys, you have a lot to give, and sometimes you need a platform to give it. So I appreciate you guys letting me speak.
It's crazy. All three of us are emotional people. And so when you're getting emotional, I'm getting emotional. And Katie's getting emotional. So we got all our emotions right now on this call.
No doubt, brother. No doubt. I really appreciate
thank you.
that.
We won't keep you anymore, and you'll hear from us soon.
Okay.
And we have this Martha's Vineyard Vote to the Basket this Saturday, the opioid awareness, and then we're back at it next week.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thank you, Maurice.
I'm around, man. Just let me know how I can help.
Thank you.
All right.
It was really meaningful.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Take care and God bless you.
See you guys soon.
Bye.